The hall of House Armand glittered with candlelight and ambition. Nobles gathered not for joy, but for judgment. This was not a celebration, it was a selection. The Duke of Ravenshade, powerful, wealthy, and feared for his cold resolve, had come to choose a bride. Every family knew what this meant. A single choice could raise a bloodline or erase it from favor forever. Lord Armand stood tall, though his hands trembled. He had prepared for this moment for years. His eldest daughter, Celine, stood beside him, beautiful in the way the world admired: perfect skin, graceful posture, and eyes trained to charm. She had been taught since childhood that beauty was her weapon and her worth. A few steps behind stood Elara. Elara wore a simple dress, no jewels, no bright colors. Her hair was neatly tied back, her eyes lowered not in shame, but habit. She had learned long ago how to take up less space. Where Celine was praised, Elara was compared. Where Celine was celebrated, Elara was corrected. And where Celine was loved loudly, Elara was tolerated quietly. The Duke entered without announcement. The room fell silent. His presence carried weight, not because of his title alone, but because of the stories whispered about him. Some said he was cruel, others said he was broken. All agreed on one thing: he saw more than people wanted him to. Lord Armand smiled nervously, ushering Celine forward. Compliments flowed easily. Beauty, grace, elegance. Celine played her role perfectly, smiling, laughing softly. Never too much, never too little. Then the Duke's gaze shifted. It passed Celine. It landed on Elara. For the first time that evening, Elara looked up. Her eyes met his, not with flirtation, not with fear, but with something raw and unpolished. Honesty. The room seemed to hold its breath. Lord Armand leaned closer to the Duke, his voice urgent. "Take the pretty one," he said again, quieter this time, desperate. "She is the better choice. The other girl, she has always been difficult, plain, oversensitive." The Duke did not respond immediately. Instead, he stepped forward. He stopped in front of Elara. "I choose her," he said. Gasps rippled through the hall. Celine's smile froze. Lord Armand's face drained of color. "You misunderstand," the father stammered. "That is my younger daughter. She is not valuable." The Duke finished calmly. "I am well aware." Elara felt the room spin. No one had ever chosen her before. Not openly, not proudly. She waited for the correction, the joke, the inevitable embarrassment. But it never came. That night, Elara left her childhood home, not as a forgotten daughter, but as a duchess. The journey to Ravenshade was long and quiet. Elara expected coldness, maybe regret. Instead, the Duke treated her with respectful distance. He did not demand conversation. He did not judge her silence. Days passed, then weeks. Life in the Duke's estate was nothing like Elara imagined. There were no cruel commands, no humiliation. But there was also no warmth. The Duke, whose name was Alaric, carried his own scars. He had been chosen once for power, not love, and it had nearly destroyed him. Slowly, something changed. Elara noticed things others missed. She thanked servants by name. She listened. She repaired broken routines without being asked. She read quietly in the evenings, not to impress, but to understand. One night, Alaric found her in the library, asleep over a book. A candle had burned low beside her. For the first time, he smiled. What began as silence grew into conversation. Conversation into trust. Trust into something deeper. Elara did not try to be beautiful. She did not try to win him. She was simply herself. And that was what healed him. But peace never lasts without being tested. Word reached House Armand that the Duke favored Elara not as a duty, but as a partner. Envy turned to bitterness. Celine, once praised as the jewel of the family, felt discarded. She could not accept that the sister she had overlooked now lived a life she herself had been promised. So she came to Ravenshade. She arrived dressed in elegance, carrying apologies and old memories. She spoke of regret, of mistakes, of how Elara had always been too sensitive. The old wounds opened easily. Elara overheard whispers. Doubts crept in. She wondered if she was merely a replacement, a mistake, chosen out of defiance, not love. One evening, she confronted Alaric, her voice shaking but steady. "Why did you really choose me?" she asked. "Was it pity?" Alaric did not answer right away. Then he said something Alara would remember forever. "Because you were the only one in that room who wasn't trying to be chosen." Silence followed. He continued, "I have lived my life being valued for what I provide. Power, protection, status. You looked at me like I was a person, not a prize." Celine's plans failed. Truth has a way of standing firm when it is lived, not spoken. In time, Celine returned home, carrying a lesson she never expected that